Wendy Snyder in for Bob Surratt. Bob returns tomorrow. We go live to Joseph Lindsley right now, editor of Ukrainian Freedom News. And you're in Lviv today, Joseph?
Joe. Little fucking Joe Lindsley.
Joe Lindsley is quickly becoming an American treasure in broadcasting.
Welcome to Ukraine.
Wendy, yes. Hello, good afternoon from Lviv in western Ukraine. And I took the train this morning, the 6 a.m. train from Kyiv. And, I've been in Kyiv for almost a month. And so I had not been outside of the city in the countryside. And it's even though it's snowy in Kyiv, it's really full winter. As we were rolling through the hills and the fields of central Ukraine, as you come to the west, the hills get bigger and turn into mountains. But it is completely winter here. And it's, there's this feeling on the train talked about before, sort of a meditation and peace, because often you don't have good cell service. So you don't know what's going on. You don't know if there are air alarms going off. And as I looked around me at, the others on the train, you have civilians, soldiers, people of all different ages, and having this sort of moment of rest, having a coffee and looking at the peaceful scenery. And it is a nice little sort of way to take a break and step away from the news and the trauma of the war. And then as I pulled into Lviv, Lviv is a very different. Every city in Ukraine really has its own character because of all the different histories and movements of peoples. And Lviv is it's a very much an old world European city, narrow cobbled streets, church spires and domes, and it looks spectacular, sort of Dickensian in this. And I went for a run at the High Castle. It's a little mountain overlooking the center part of Lviv, with the ruins of the High Castle, as it's called. And it's fresh, it's cold, it's 26 degrees. And I'm remembering a year ago, starting from October 10th and going through the winter, it was, every Monday, sometimes it was on Tuesday, the Russians would start the week by sending 80 to 100 missiles on Ukraine. And that's not happening this year. This is remarkable, and this does keep getting missed. But Ukraine, something has changed, and there is, Russia is not able, despite all of its bluster, is choosing not to attack or is not able to attack infrastructure the way it did last year. So this must be, we must pay attention to that point. Meanwhile, there are two, I would say, I would say there are two things weighing on people here. Actually, probably much more than two, but two issues that are not discussed in the media in general in the West. One is, we have heard a little bit of chatter about how, President Zelenskiy said there will be no elections in February, even though, he's been in office for 5 years, and if it was not wartime, it would be time for elections. But under the Ukrainian constitution, when there's martial law, you don't have elections, and this makes sense. But there are maneuverings. And, for example, the mayor of Kyiv, Klychko, a famous guy because he was a heavyweight champion boxer.
Yes, I was a fan of his.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Both he and his brother were boxers.
Right.
And actually, a friend of mine, his father was Klitschko's trainer when Klychko was very young, starting off as a judo guy and martial arts. And but they are well loved here. And and he came out. He was speaking with, I think, German media over the weekend, and he said he's worried about democracy here. He and President Zelenskiy had not been in the same parties, in the same camp, and so he was putting out a little bit of a challenge and saying that local government is the only government that's because Ukraine is not federalist, so the regional governments are controlled by Kyiv, but the city governments are local, and that goes back almost 1,000 years. This tradition of the rights of the cities. And so he said only the mayors can really publicly resist and question the government. That's not entirely accurate because the media and the people question the government. But anyway, it was pretty extraordinary that Klychko chose this moment to, in a little, fairly directly, to attack the administration of President Zelenskiy. So we're going to start to see some maneuverings happening. And there are people that want to have an election in the wartime, and there's other people that don't. And this is going to be a big debate. And then the other thing that's happening is for about a month now, and especially in Poland, but now also in Slovakia and Hungary, these nations that neighbor Ukraine, there has been a blockade. Truck drivers and farmers, it started in Poland. Truck drivers and farmers and who knows who else began to block the transport of heavy goods into Ukraine. And at the moment, it seems that there are about 3,000 trucks jammed at the Polish-Ukrainian border. I've spoken with people that have been coming back into Ukraine, and they say it's absolutely extraordinary that these goods are not moving. And pretty soon, probably we're going to start to feel that impact here in Ukraine. There's a lot going on there. Poland, has a new government that's still trying to form. And some say are the Russians behind this? Are they paying off some of these protesters that are blocking the transport of these goods into Ukraine? But this is developing, and now it's spread from Poland into Slovakia and also Hungary. And so, while Ukraine is holding on, you see problems not only from the Russian front, but even from on the European side.
How long are you staying in Lviv, Joseph?
I don't know. I haven't been here. This is my base. I haven't been here since early October.
Wow.
I was traveling throughout the country, and so it's good to be back here. And I think you can never plan very much in the wartime because things are always changing. And at any moment, maybe Russians are indeed stockpiling, and they're going to start a huge barrage of missiles. But the fact is, we have had this window of opportunity where Russians have not attacked in a long-range way for the longest spell. This entire full-scale invasion. And this was, every time you have these windows, it should be an opportunity to act and to get Ukraine more long-range weapons. And, we're starting to see some people begin to realize this in the West. And, for example, today, I was reading this on the train, three Republican committee chairmen in the Congress released a proposed plan for victory in Ukraine. Chairman Michael McCall of the House Foreign Affairs Committee from Texas, he's been a rare Republican voice. He's actually been criticizing the Republicans who don't support Ukraine and the Democrats who do not support victory quickly. He's a big critic of this language of saying we support Ukraine for the long haul. He says we need to shift that to say we need to support victory. And he's accusing the Biden administration, along with he was joined in this report by Chairman Mike Rogers of the House Armed Services Committee and Chairman Mike Turner of the Intel Committee. And the three of them together in this report accuse the Biden administration of appeasing dictators and sending these long-range weapons to Ukraine much too slowly. They point out, for example, that in September 2023, September of this year, the Abrams tanks, these really incredible machines from the United States, finally arrived in Ukraine 6 months after Germany sent their top tanks. And 3 months after Ukraine's counteroffensive started. So the Abrams came very late in the counteroffensive. And then they also pointed out that, in October, the U.S. sent Ukraine a few of these ATACMS, these really extraordinary long-range missiles. Within 5 or so days of Ukraine receiving this smattering of ATACMS, Ukraine used them very precisely to take out 2 Russian air bases on occupied Ukrainian territory, and they destroyed many, many Russian aircraft and helicopters. So Ukrainians showed, if they have just a few of these, what they can do, and still there's been no one's even talked about it. No one has said, oh, maybe we should send more. And so in this report, really led by Chairman Michael McCall and Mike Rogers and Mike Turner, they are very critical of the Biden administration for not moving quickly enough, and they're accusing the White House of actually appeasing Russia.
Interesting. All right. Well, keep us posted on that. I hope it remains quiet. And Bob is back tomorrow, so you will be talking to him. If I don't talk to you, have a good holiday, and please stay safe.
Wendy, as always, it's great to speak with you, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you so much, Joseph Lindsley, editor of UkrainianFreedomNews.com.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Що сказав?
Well, which side are you on? На чиїй ти стороні? Come on now. Oh, which side are you on? На чиїй ти стороні?